Ah, Luigi's Mansion. Probably one of the most well-known games on the GameCube. However, when the spooky adventure game released for the GameCube back in 2001, the reception from fans was quite different. In fact, it was impossible to go into any forums at the time without players calling it a disappointment or a waste of money. And the critical reception of the sequel was pretty similar to the first one, with many players calling it better than the original. However, from fans of the original, there was quite a lot of pushback. Now, back during the year of Luigi, I never owned this game. Like, yes, I'd see the game on store shelves in passing, but Luigi's Mansion 2 never really interested me at the time. However, in this video, I want to do a retrospective on Luigi's Mansion 2 now that the HD remaster is out on Switch. Is Luigi's Mansion 2 really all that bad? Well, in this video, I'm gonna give you my unbiased take. Grab your popcorn, and let's get right into it. Oh god, if you were expecting a deep story out of this game, you gotta look somewhere else, cause Luigi's Mansion 2 is probably more straightforward than a new Super Mario Bros. Game is. But this game starts off with you talking to Professor Egad, meeting up with him again, and oh no, the ghosts are back! Oh, and look, there's King Boo, he's back too! And to be completely honest with you, I would have preferred a new primary antagonist in this game. Oh, even in Luigi's Mansion 3, they decide to have him as a mastermind. Like, yeah, at the time the original came out, he was iconic. But now I feel like he's kind of become Luigi's version of Bowser. I would say the plot of this game is decent, but it's nothing to really write home about. I mean, really, there's nothing to talk about. Like, why is this even a section in the video? Luigi's Mansion 2 starts off pretty identical to the first game. However, what sets Luigi's Mansion 2 apart from the first game in terms of structure is that this game takes a mission-based approach, whereas the other one was pretty open-ended. Now, to me, I don't feel like the mission structure of this game is inherently an issue. However, I feel the only reason that this game ever had a mission-based structure is so that way it was designed with the 3DS in mind. Say you just wanted to open up Luigi's Mansion 2 and have like a quick play session. You do one mission and then you're good. You know, you get a save. Yeah, I get the fact that the mission-based structure is good for a handheld, but I feel like the same effect could have been done with a save feature. And something that really grinds my gears about the mission structure in this game, that some of the collectibles in this mansion are only collectible during specific missions, which means that you not only have to go back and play the mission to get these collectibles, but then you have to beat the mission over again, because you can't just get the collectible and then back out. This really annoys me as a completionist, and for that reason, I'm probably never going to complete this game. But at some points, these missions feel like absolute chores rather than exciting, with no puzzle solving other than go here and do this, and then repeat somewhere else. I mean, especially the Polterpup missions and the ones where you pick up the webs. Like, what's the point in me going through all of these areas of the mansion that I've already been to? Don't even get me started on the ranks. The ranks in this game are trivial and comparable to a game like Angry Birds on my smartphone. I feel like it's a very neat idea to have the missions have ranks. However, the problem with the ranks in this game is that it doesn't choose a format that it wants to be. It's not based on clear time, it's not based on ghost captured, health lost, or treasure. It's based on everything. Meaning, what you basically have to do to get a 3-star rank on any of these missions is to not take any damage, do it like a speedrunner, get all of the gold and all of the collectibles at the same time. And I genuinely feel like if they wanted to do this rank structure, they should have just made it a speed run. The game, as always, is running at 30 FPS in the year 2024 for seemingly no reason. This really just comes across as lazy, when there are more visually impressive games on the system that run at 60 FPS. And that includes ports. I feel like people are genuinely shitting on the Nintendo Switch for no reason, because at the end of the day, if Nintendo wanted to make these games run good, they could. But the problem is, ports like this go to show the general public that Nintendo Switch is underpowered, and that the Nintendo Switch can't run games that look good, which is genuinely untrue. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it how it is. Luigi's Mansion 2 is a 3DS game, and it will always be a 3DS game. Of course, this game looks better than it did on the 3DS with the 480p screen. However, I'd compare the graphics of this game to an upscaled 3DS game on the Citra emulator, which ironically enough, Nintendo just shut down. Funny how that works. But anyways, minus the minor upscaling of the graphics, and a few good additions to the lighting making it a bit darker and moody of a game, the graphics in this game at some point look amazing, and then other times I'm getting whiplash because some of these assets are just from the 3DS but upscaled, and at some points the graphics can look pretty damn incredible because of the lighting engine. However, the graphics in this game are a mixed bag, but I feel like they could have done a much better job when it comes to the graphics in this port. The ghosts in this game are bland, uninspired, and they need to go. Yes, I am a fan of the more cartoony ghost designs as compared to the original Luigi's Mansion. However, that only comes when the character designs themselves are actually interesting. And in Luigi's Mansion 2, they're not. In terms of design, all of these ghosts look and play almost identical to each other, making the combat loop you stroll bulbing them at a certain point and then sucking them up. Yes, there might be another ghost on screen that punches you as you're sucking up the other one, which god, that fucking annoys me to death, but it's still the exact same thing over and over and over again. These ghosts are not varied, and the bosses in this game do a much better job at setting themselves apart from each other. The first spider boss in the game I thought was actually really good, and it incorporated good puzzle solving from the mansion that it was actually in. Yes, I guess you could say it was a little bit slow with you having to torch the web, but the first boss I thought was a really strong start. The second boss, Rat Trap, was a complete disappointment. You wait and then attack his back a couple of times. Rinse and repeat. This honestly felt like King Bob-omb from Super Mario 64 all over again, except that this isn't the first 3D platformer ever made. The clock boss was an absolute piece of shit. Everything I hate about the combat of this game is exemplified in this fight, and if somehow you're struggling, which you're going to be, they refresh the enemies. What a pain in the ass this fight was. The ice world was a nice change of pace, as the missions felt quick and interesting, as well as the stripped down mission count. This made everything feel short, sweet, and unpadded, which the rest of the game I felt could have benefited from. And the Shrewd Possessor, while reliant on an outdated motion control gimmick, I feel was a well done spectacle of a boss fight compared to the last two. The final Treacherous Mansion really nails the theming and vibe of a proper final area. I think the night statues that you see throughout the entire game finally being possessed for a mini-boss is a very neat touch. Foreshadowing. There's even an underground lab where you electrocute a knight's armor on a table, which is a clear reference to Frankenstein's monster. But what in the actual choo-choo were they thinking when it comes to the train fight? I was bound to call this a standout in the game due to the theme of a giant toy train set, and then you go and give me the normal Boo fight? I genuinely despise this fight. Not because of the premise of the Boo's tongue being used to launch into stuff, but because of the controls not being suited for it. At times, the big Boo would be too close to the wall to even launch in the right direction. The train also moves faster than you, pivoting your aim as well. So what ends up happening is, because the controls aren't snappy, you're holding the enemy in place, and then hoping that the tiny drill hitbox actually ends up hitting them. And we had better be lucky this fight was generous with time and extra hearts, because this fight could have been way, way worse. Holy shit, the night enemy was turned into a whole fight. Earlier on, I was like, damn, that mini-boss was awesome. But then they decided to turn him into the fucking Iron Giant. Hands down the coolest fight in the entire game, and that includes King Boo, the penultimate villain of this trilogy. The fight starts, and I'm greeted with a tilting platform that's oddly similar to a Mario Party 2 minigame. It's an alright first phase, but it was probably way too easy for a final boss. You then get transported into a section where you run away from him in a hallway, and he opens up drawers to try and block you, which is honestly the coolest part of this entire fight. The problems arise when not only Phase 3 is a complete copy of Phase 1, but the final phase is also copy and pasted as well. And while there were a couple standout fights in this game, that leaves the bosses in this game on a very sour note. Now, I know this review is very critical, and I have a lot of things I really dislike about this game. However, that doesn't mean Luigi's Mansion 2 is fully terrible. If you're a Luigi's Mansion fan, I don't have to go out and tell you to buy this game. You're going to do that already. However, if you're interested in the Luigi's Mansion series, and you have yet to play any of the Luigi's Mansion games, wait on a sale for this game, or pick up Luigi's Mansion 3, which is on the same system for the same exact price. The fact that Nintendo is able to charge $60 for an upscaled Nintendo 3DS game in 2024, running at 30 FPS with minimal visual upgrades, to me is a failure of justice. And we as consumers need to stand up and admit when things are wrong. But if you appreciated my unbiased review, hit that sub button and comment down below what your opinion on Luigi's Mansion 2 HD is. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.